Dear students, we will go through module number 56 for the subject of SHRM. In this module, we will talk about the second most dominant framework or the model suggested by the academics in the early 1980s as a result of competition or as a result of challenges to enhance the quality of the products or to reduce the cost of the product. The second model is known as the Michigan model. This model was actually developed by Fomburn and his colleagues. As I said that when I say et al., it means that the colleagues of the Fomburn. So at the same time, in the early 1980s, in 1984 and 1985, these two models emerged as a way of reaction to how to compete or as a way of understanding how to compete with the Far East organizations. So when we talk about the Harvard framework or the Michigan framework, they both are to some extent in contrast to each other. We will talk about and we will see those assumptions how the Michigan framework is in contrast to the Harvard framework. But first, let's understand the Michigan framework. This approach, in contrast to the Harvard framework, focuses on the links between HRM practices and business strategy. While on the other hand, we have said that the Harvard framework suggests that HRM policy choices have a significant impact on HR outcomes, the very immediate outcomes of the employees, and that actually result in the organizational outcomes. When we talk about this has an impact on that and that has an impact on that, we are talking about how. While the Michigan framework answers how the HRM policies can impact on the organizational outcomes. According to the Michigan framework, it is the link between HRM practices and business strategy. HR strategies should be aligned with corporate strategic direction and be explicitly aimed at improving performance. The Michigan framework or the authors or scholars of this framework, they think that the link between the corporate strategy is missing at the Harvard Business School framework. What we mean by the link between corporate strategy and business strategy? Simply, in one sentence, we can understand that corporate strategy is the strategy of the organization. For example, Sony is an organization and how Sony will compete with the other organizations like Samsung. So that is a corporate strategy. However, when we talk about how the televisions of Sony will compete with Samsung, it's a business strategy. When we talk about how the Sony mobile phones will compete with the Samsung mobile phones, it's a business strategy. The corporate strategy, on the other hand, is about the total investment or the direction of the organization, where to invest and where to grow and or how to grow. So this is where the Michigan model thinks about how the HR can facilitate an organization to achieve its goals or compete with different organizations. So as I said, the Michigan model was the precursor for the best fit or contingency approach to SHRM or HRM. We will talk about what is the best fit or what we mean by best fit. We will talk about in more detail when we will talk about the contingency framework of human resource management or strategic management. At this time, we would focus on what was or what is Michigan framework as compared to the Harvard framework. Simply, the Michigan framework suggests that organizations need to select employees who have the skills and abilities to perform or to develop products and services which are compatible to the other organizations. Simply, the selection will enhance the performance of the organization, and that performance should be appraised or there should be an appraisal process. That is, appraisal means evaluation. Those employees who perform very well, आप उनकी evaluation करें. Based on that evaluation and based on the performance, so we will offer reward to the employees. And they, based on that performance and based on that appraisal, we will develop employees. So these developmental and reward practices will reverse or in return will influence the performance of the employees. In other words, you offer the reward and that will influence the performance of the employees. If there is no performance, it will affect the appraisal. And appraisal will affect the reward, and rewards will affect the performance. So this is a model which is less humanistic as compared to the Harvard framework, which is more humanly or more friendly towards the employees. So that's why we call it a hard approach to HRM. We will discuss in the coming modules. However, we see that how the Michigan framework is different from the Harvard framework. Thank you.